This week I'm going to speak about something different. Something more directly related to the Rambam. But one of the things is when you tell people Moshiach will come, what's going to happen when Moshiach will come? So one of the first things you say is that everybody's going to be healthy. There won't be any sickness in the world. So there are different levels of explaining how and why there won't be any sickness in the world. So I want to discuss that a little bit. First of all, the Rebbe, this interesting sikh of the Rebbe says that when the Rambam speaks about Moshiach, the Rambam says there won't be war, there won't be hunger. The Rambam doesn't mention there won't be any sickness. However, in Hilchas Tshuva, where the Rambam speaks about the good things that will happen if we keep Torah mitzvahs, which the Rambam from there leads into discussion about Mashiach, he says that Hashem promised us in the Torah that if we keep Torah, sometimes it's static, so it's no, it's fine, I'm just saying. So if we keep Torah, he's going to remove from us all sickness. You have in the Torah, it says, Hashem will remove sickness. And the Rambam explains of all the good things that the Torah promises us is not so much as a reward, but as something that helps us keep Torah mitzvahs. That if we'll keep Torah mitzvahs, we'll be healthy, we'll have enough gold and silver, be able to do whatever we need to, we'll be able to have easy life, to be able to fulfill Torah mitzvahs properly. And then from there, the Rambam goes in to discuss that this is also why Yidden desired Mashiach, because then we'll have whatever we need, so in order to be able to learn Torah mitzvahs properly. So over there, the Rambam clearly specifies the idea that there won't be any sickness. But in Hilchas Malachim, where the Rambam is focusing on Mashiach particularly, he doesn't mention the fact that there won't be any sickness. And the Rebbe gives interesting explanation. The Rebbe says, the Rambam writes, maybe I don't know the Rambam was a doctor, but besides, even in Halacha, the Rambam wrote in Hilchas Deis, towards the beginning of Mishnah Torah, he writes how a person should conduct himself so that his body should be healthy. He says, since that the fact that a body is healthy is a way of part of serving Hashem, so you have to be careful. He gives you a list of things to do to how to conduct yourself, the diet and other things, so your body should be healthy. And it's actually is a part of halacha. The Rebbe says it's not whatever's put into Torah becomes part of Torah. So the Rambam says that I guarantee a person that if he'll conduct himself in these guidelines that I'm giving him, he won't become sick. Unless he was already sick from before, or he already did, he wasn't careful about these things for a long time. Yeah, you're right. That I'm guaranteeing him, unless he was born with a very bad, body, mezek, his temperament of his body wasn't good. So the Rebbe says like this: in the time of Mashiach, the whole world will live the way will conduct itself the way it is supposed to be according to Torah. So, in other words, why do people become sick? People become sick based on what the Rambam explains because they have a desire to eat foods they're not supposed to eat. They have a desire to do things that is not healthy for their body. And they can't control themselves sometimes, and they're going to maybe overeat or won't conduct themselves in a healthy way. But when in an ideal world where people are living according to what the guidelines they're supposed to live by, so then everybody's going to be living with a healthy diet and with healthy exercise, whatever it is. So automatically you won't become sick. So the Rambam doesn't have to write as a chiddush or Moshiach will come, there won't be any sickness. In fact, there won't be war, hunger. These are things that are not up to you, right? But the fact that there won't be any sickness is up to us. I mean, the Rambam writes that in other places also that most sicknesses are a result of the person's own behavior. So if a person will, in the time of before Moshiach comes, which the Rambam is discussing, Hilchos Tshuva, it's shaykh that a person, mitzad, the type of his guf, will eat things, do things that are not healthy to his body. So the Rambam says that in that time, even in such a case, if a person keeps Seder mitzvahs, the Eibusher will remove the sickness from him. But when the Rambam speaks about Mashiach, he's speaking about a world that is living according to Torah. They're fulfilling the way they're living a life according to Torah. So l'chatchila, they won't become sick. That's a bit of the interesting, which is this is a very rational beer, the people will be healthy, they'll have a healthy lifestyle. There's another thing that the Rambam doesn't say there, but in Pirush Mishnayos of the Rambam, he discusses the length of life when Moshiach will come. You have in Gemara, you have different opinions. How much is Yemois HaMashiach? How many years is Yemois HaMashiach? Shmufarshim explained to me how long is the first period. One opinion says 40 years, 360, whatever, there's a number of opinions in Gemara. One opinion says 7,000 years. So the Rambam says, shouldn't be such a wonder to say that people, if you say it's 7,000 years, and that probably means that Moshiach himself will live very long, the people will live very long. So the Rambam says it shouldn't be such a wonder to say that, because the Rambam says when there's no stress in life, so your lifespan is, your lifespan is naturally is able to live much longer. So Moshiach will come, there won't be any daigas, there won't be any stresses. So automatically the Rambam uses that as how much of a scientific explanation I don't know, because to say that instead of living 70 years, a person will live 1,000 years, probably you can't only use the fact that there won't be any stresses. The reason for it, but Cholay from the Rambam is also more of a rational explanation of how people live life in a way that they'll have long life, they won't get sick. The Rambam doesn't use that as a reason for not getting sick. But it's also, if there's no stresses, you're not going to get sick.
Sorry, is it before Tchiyas HaMesim?
Yeah, the Rambam, well, according to the Rambam, according to the Rambam, the second period, the Chlal, is, he learns differently. According to the Rambam, the second period, according to the Rebbe Sicher, according to the Rambam, the second period will be supernatural. So this must be the first period.
It says, well, the Chet Etzadas.
Yeah.
Gorma Misel
Yeah.
But I mean, you could say, as the other Mauritian would be able to eat from Eitz HaChaim. No, the Chet Gorma Misel Oilam.
Right.
The Mele Moshiach time, the Chet is off.
Right.
Is missing.
Yeah. I get to that a little bit later. It's true. So it's an interesting point according to the Rambam. There's another interesting beer, not such a famous beer, but it's brought down in certain Sfarim. Very interesting thing, they explain that Ibn Ezra actually brings this down, I think. It says that the Eibusha will create a new heaven and a new earth when Mashiach will come. So the question is, what does that mean? The Rambam explains, has a whole lengthy discussion of these types of psukim, what they mean in Moed Nevuchim. The Rambam says it's more a melitza, it's more like a poetic term, and you want to say life will be so great and will be so beautiful like never before. You're going to say it's a new heaven and new earth. Doesn't mean literally it's going to be a new heaven and new earth. Whatever, that's a whole separate discussion, but one of the pirushim of what it means, the Shemayim HaChadashim, is that Ibn Ezra brings down that the Eibusha will create a new ear. Actually, I guess the atmosphere will be much healthier. So he says that many sicknesses, Shut is explained in other places, sicknesses have different causes. Some of it is because a person doesn't keep a diet, he eats. But also the atmosphere is no good. And when Mashiach will come, Hashem will create the atmosphere, will be very healthy. That because we'll breathe that air, we'll have a long life. And if you think about it, in today's scientific terms, you might say, there's pollution and germs and other things flying around in the air. I mean, he doesn't use those terms. I mean, he could say that's one of the things he uses, but there's also another thing that's brought down that in the Doir HaMabul, there's a medrash that says that the generation of the Mabul, no one got sick. It says then, according to some of Forshim, there's different ways of explaining it, but first of all, it says that before the Mabul, we find people live very long lives. So look how long Adam lived, Sushelach, Lamach, they lived very long lives. So there's a discussion whether this was a natural thing, that the lifespan of people then were very long. Even today, there are places, there are places that people naturally certain people in certain areas of the world.
They lived for pass away.
Yeah.
And then, why was it? Because they didn't speak Shemada. They never spoke.
Yeah. We have even today, I feel like Goyim, you have certain places in India or other places, it's known, whatever, there's one reading up about it, that they have much longer lifespan than other places and try to find what's a scientific beer. But it says that before the Mabul, people had a very long life. You see in Tanakh, in Chumash. The question is, why do they have a very long life? So, one of the approaches is that B'derech HaTeva, the ear, life, the ear was much healthier, the food was much healthier, so people live longer. It says that after the Mabul, first of all, some of us had a very interesting thing. They say that before the Mabul, the Earth, we know that the orbit of the Earth is not exactly around the center of the Earth. That's why there's the equator, the temperature all year is the same. But like this, the sun goes around the Earth on an angle. That's why the summer, winter, depending on where it is. It says before the Mabul, the sun was in the Kava Shava together with the Earth, which means that the whole world, there was no change of seasons. There was no summer, winter.
The galaxies, you see the stars, it's all changing.
Yeah. After the Mabul, it says, the Eibusha said, there'll be kayitz, v'chayt of summer or winter. Before the Mabul, it says the sun went, the whole world, it says there was no change of climate. So the year was like springtime all year round.
It was day and night.
It was day and night. I mean, the sun, it was shkia and zricha, but I'm saying, but summer and winter, they didn't, like this, the climate of summer.
On the equator, the whole place is on the equator?
Yeah, exactly on the...
On the axis, and it didn't change in no way.
It's on the equator the whole time.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. So it says that all the side the people, the earth, side the ear in the world it actually says, if you look at Midrashim about the Deira Mabul, it says they had a very easy life. It says they never got sick. It says they lived very long. The earth the whole time was like springtime. They planted once every 40 years, and the earth just kept up producing the things for years after it was planted.
Before the
Mabul. The fruits were very good because there was no elements. You didn't have summer and winter and all that. So the food also was much healthier. So with Derech HaTeva, the world was in a much healthier type of state. Pashut Begashmis, that's what some people explain. That's what some of Farshim explain how the Deiris lived long. Even if you're not going to say the Zohar with the sun being on the equator, but B'chlal, it says that after the Mabul, the Ramban says the Avir, the atmosphere became ruined. The Mabul had ruined to some extent. The atmosphere itself, that's how he explains the lifespan of people shortened. So
it says by Noach, Zeyin Achameinu, because of the Chetek Zadas, the Koitz V'darba Tatzmiach Lo, Ha'oret Tzurech Niskala Lo, was Koitzim V'dardarim, by Noach is Nocha. So verkehrt, Lefid Dol Zetuis, maybe it was
no summer. Es ist nicht nur Nocha, aber es ist gewähnt, das heißt in jener Dor, es ist gewähnt Nocha auf a Greis Neufen.
Is jener Dor, aber till Noach, maybe it was healthy because there's no summer, no winter, fine. Aber mit Zachin is Koitz V'darba, that's in the Skala Lo Aretz, whatever.
There are Mefarshim that learn Lidach Kisa, the Rambam himself, Rambam and others learned that it wasn't. To this day, you find some people live long. He says it was a Yetzim and a Klal. It was exceptional to the rule. It was a miracle, or maybe they had a special diet or some whatever it was. All the other Shei's Enish came to
all the 10 generations.
All the first one.
All the 10 generations.
The Rambam says that they were
only these people that mentioned.
Not the whole, right? Only those people, not the whole day. There are some days. It's
only
different
the people that mentioned.
The Rambam holds only those. It could have been a few others. They said that those were Yetzim and Aklal. He doesn't want to learn that there was any major change in the lifespan of people before the Mabul and after the Mabul. So there's actually a medrash that compares some of the brachas of when Moshiach will come. It says the world is just going to revert back to the way it was before the Mabul, or before Chet Ha'is Hadas, as we'll get to soon. So then, before the Mabul, also people lived very long. It was very easy. The food, the ear was much healthier. So it was just that things get ruined because of the Mabul, or there's other biyurim here exactly how it took place, but through the sin of people, they corrupted physically the elements, and it affected, it ruined the atmosphere, it shortened the lifespan of people, v'chula. However, when Moshiach will come, so things will go back to the way they were before. Mamela, people will live long, and also explains other things that, will be, that the fruit will be better, v'chula, like it was at that time. So there also won't be, it says that there was no sickness at that time. Since the world, the ear was so good, there was no sickness. So when Mashiach will come, there won't be any sickness. That's one explanation some of Farshim give. Now again, there's different, it's a davar atoli b'machlekes. This explanation depends on first of all, it's a little bit dependent on how you learn how the people lived before the Mabul, if they lived long or not. But also, even if you're going to say that Lasalov will be a Chiddush, the Deibisher, even if let's say before the Mabul they didn't live long, and the Deibisher will make a special Chiddush, will live long, and Mashiach will come, the Radak doesn't accept this Pirush. Why doesn't he accept this Pirush? He says, because the Pasuk says, Kimei ha'etz yimei ami. The Pasuk says that the Yidden, the life of the Yidden will be like the life of the trees. Everyone said this pasuk. Everyone said they have in America. I don't know if you forget the name. In California somewhere. They have Sequoia. Yeah, you have trees that are thousands of years old. The trees could last for thousands of years. It says Kimei ha'etz yimei ami. When it says the people live long, it says they live as long as trees. So the Radak says this pasuk is saying it's mashma from this pasuk that it's going to be something unique by the Yidden. Says if you're going to explain it, the reason why they live long is because there's going to be a change in atmosphere and things like that. Because if so, everyone will live long, not just Yidden. So the Radak therefore doesn't like this pshat. That says that again, it's many opinions here. Some other places, Smashman also going to live long. There's also machlokes. At any rate, this is at best it's explanation not al pi teva but al pi nes, or not al pi that the Eibusher changed the nature. And Mamela, it's also, it depends on different opinions. If it's going to be in the whole world, it's just going to be, according to Radak, he learns this Bam is going to be a nace. In other words, the Yidden will live long, not because naturally there's going to be some type of explanation, some type of natural change in nature that will make them live long. It's just going to be Betzim and nace that they'll live long. I guess together what that means, if they live long, obviously they're going to be healthy. So that's the explanation. That's another explanation that you find some of the Rishonim bringing down. Then there is another explanation here, as Al Pi Chassidus mentioned before about Chetei Tzadas. And the Rebbe explains it very interestingly. He has a mimer in Teres Chaim, in Parshas Mishpatim, discusses the idea of Asirei Simachim Mikirbecha, and he explains. We all know that through the sin of the Eitz Hadas, it brought death into the world. Bringing death into the world also means it bringing sickness into the world. Even though truth is the sickness didn't start. Yeah, it also started by there's many different, started by Yaakov or yeah, the question is what type of sickness started by Yaakov.
Good. Before he dies. Yeah. But sickness was before, nicht mehr. A person could be sick. He took antibiotics. He's like,
it's possible. But there says clearly that before that a person passed away or something.
Yeah, so you have Neir HaTorah, the Samach Tzedek speaks about this one that says that Malach Michal came to heal Avraham after the Bris Milah. So sickness started by Yaakov. Obviously, okay. So it already becomes technical. What thing started? If a person cut himself, could he get sick before Yaakov? You understand what I'm saying? It depends what you call a sickness. Certain things were there before. Certain things, where he discusses it says Vayachantu Hadoifim Es Yisrael that the Yosef had the doctors that they after Yaakov passed away, they whatever you call it in English, Balaam. So he says, how are there doctors? If Yaakov is the first person to become sick, how did you have doctors there? It's mashma that not every. In other words, other Mepharshim already discussed which sicknesses started by Yaakov. So that's fine. There was obviously some type of something.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's difficult to read, but it sounds so funny. What is a doctor? So a guy that had three times he did a thing and it worked. So then his kameya is guaranteed. If he not necessarily everything in this kameya or other kameya, the whole doctor business over there.
It was a different type of medicine. It was definitely a different type of medicine. That was more of that was more medicine. They had different. A kameya meant they had different roots. Not the kameya like as maybe the Kabbalah kameya.
Ich meine, Stam, it could be sickness was before when doctors were there before. The only thing is the person dying, he could be sick and become healthy.
I'm saying.
Dying is...
Fine, I'm just saying that it's not clear. It's not clear what exactly, but I call it. But anyway, let's say through Chet Eitzadas it brought Misa into the world, which automatically, eventually, what happened right away later led to Chayli also, to sickness as well. The Mitzvah explains the same way Beruchnius. We all know that through Chet Eitzadas it brought the klipa, the bad got mixed with the good. So similarly, he explains that in the world, he says the main things of the world and help things grow, as he says, is the earth, there's the elements. Forget, but the water definitely focuses on the water. It says that there's Yeshmayim. We have already when Moshe sent the Meraglim, there's Yisrael. He said that certain places people are strong, certain places it depends on the water, it depends on the earth. So we see that there's certain that he basically the point of Mitzvah is saying is that we see that in the world there's good and bad. We have certain grasses. Certain things are healthy, certain things are poisonous. You have animals, some of them are tame, some of them are terfim, or predators. You have in people, you have tzaddik and v'chulu. So you have a mixture of good and bad in the whole creation, and in the elements of life, the air, the water, the earth. I forget which elements he points out, but the kudah that he brings out is that in the whole building blocks of life, there's good and bad. So Mela, and everything you eat, there's psoilus. Something you have to go to the bathroom. There's ira in it, and everything in water, and all the elements that support life is a mixture of good and bad. That is where sickness comes in. Means that there's whatever scientific words you want to use, germs or all type of negative things, wasn't there before the Eitzadas. Before the Chet Eitzadas, the whole world was the same way a person was completely good, so the physical elements of the world that support life were all completely pure and healthy. It was through the Chet Eitzadas that the elements that give life, the same way spiritually a person got ra in his nefesh, so to Poshet Begashmi is, just to speak from a very simple scientific level, so to say, the elements that support life will mix with good and bad. So in Mela, some people live, some people get sick, some people don't. So basically, the point is that when Moshiach will come, and then Klipas Noiga, the Chet Eitzadas will be rectified. So then everything will go back to the way it was before. The elements that support life weren't created in a way that a person should become sick. They were created in a way that a person should live forever with them. It's just the elements got ruined to some. Before, in other words, interesting thing before, we were talking about the Deit HaMabul. Deit HaMabul also, they lived long, they were healthy. But Sof Kol Sof, there was something built into the world that they're going to eventually die. But the Mitzvah is going a step deeper, saying that the Chet Eitzadas, what it accomplished was, it was already bad in Bria. The fact, in every element of Bria, so there's things that are poisonous, things that are healthy, foods that are good, foods that are not good, animals that are good, animals that are not good. This all started from Chet Eitzadas, and that eventually led to Misa B'Olam. That led to sickness and to death into the world. So Moshiach will come and the Chet Eitzadas will be rectified. So there, inside the person, in his own nefesh, there won't be any more Yetzer Hara. It also means that in the world at large, the elements of air and earth and water, all these things will all...
Is that it's similar to what the other Mepharshim is? What is the difference between this and the other Mepharshim?
The other Mepharshim are not saying that. They're saying that there's the Mepharshim saying that Avra was. First of all, they're not focusing on Chet Eitzadas. They're saying that they're saying that the Avra was Zach, the Avra was pure, able to. But Mittel Rebbe is saying, but first of all, Ein Zach is, even according to them, we're still Misa B'Olam. Even according to them, the Deit HaMabul didn't live forever. They lived long, they didn't live forever. There was some element still of bad in the world. And but Nachazach is that the Mitzvah is partially explaining in a more holistic way how Misa and Chayli came into being and how it will be taken away. So the other Mepharshim just say that the almost was the atmosphere was better, was more healthier, then it got ruined and it'll come back. But here he's explaining that he also doesn't just, they focus also more on the Avir itself. Mitzvah is focusing also on the Eretz. He focuses a lot on the Mayim, I believe. I think he focuses on the earth and the water primarily, not so much necessarily on the Avir. Yeah, but then there's a Zohar that says, brought down Chassidus also by Nilus. The Kutei Torah, Maimon, Shisha Pesach over there, this is Mayim, which are Megal this. So that is the Bir of Ichsilus. Now there's another few Nekudas here. First of all, there's this is all explaining things inside the Welt that there will be health because either you live a healthy lifestyle, the atmosphere will be healthy, according to the Midrash expression, and the other Mefarshim. But there's also another Nekuda here, is that there's an interesting thing, B'chlal, there's a whole debate, you probably don't know so much about it today, but there's a whole debate if you're allowed to go to a doctor, B'chlal. If you ever look, there were certain people, I mean today you have people that are against medical doctors. Yeah, but if you ever look and you'll see there's the whole debate by Mefarshim about going to doctors. The Torah allows you to go to a doctor. Does it Rapi? The question is, if ideally you're supposed to go to a doctor, maybe you should just daven to the Eibishter. So there's a whole machlokes Rambam and Ramban, whatever it is. I don't want to get into all the details of it. But the Alter Rebbe, there's a minor of the Alter Rebbe, he says like this. He says, in the time, the Alter Rebbe explains in the Geras HaTshuva, that in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, the chayis of the Yidden, of the Neshama, came from Kedusha. Therefore, if Rachmanusan, a person didn't have Veda that he was chayiv Koris, or Misa V'dei Shemayim, he was physically die at 50 or 60 years old. However, after the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, it says there was the Golos HaShechina, which Alter Rebbe explained that the chayis of Elokus goes through the Mazolos, the Ayin Sorim. So it doesn't come in a direct way. So therefore, it's possible even for a person to sin to get chayis, to live 20 more years than 60 and 70. So Alter Rebbe says, Alter Rebbe applies the same concept regarding health in Bechlal. He says in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, Yidden got their chayis directly from Kedusha. If a person became sick, he could go to doctors from today till tomorrow. It won't help him. Why? Because his sickness was an outcome of the fact that there was something missing in his Torah mitzvahs. So we know that there's the Ramach Mitzvah Neged Ramach Yivorim. Beruchnis, yeah. In other words, then the Ruch.
Doctors are not going to tell you that. Doctor, because you ate something bad or whatever.
Part of Machloek is what this book was also. Was it a book of natural medic? Huh?
Because they hit it.
Yeah. So the fact that Chizkiyo hit it seems to imply that maybe it's better you shouldn't go to doctors because you have to remind Eibishter. It's part of the discussion. The Rambam says that it was the refus that he hit wasn't real refus. It was avodah zarah. People were worshipping at different worships they used to do to try to get healed. So he hit it not because he was against using medicine, because he was against people turning to idols. Other people say no, he hit it because people shouldn't be turning to medicine. People should be going. That's all part of this discussion about using doctors, not using doctors. But the Alter Rebbe has a unique perspective. How it fits in with the Machlokes is a bit difficult to understand. But the Kudi says like this: that in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, you didn't get the chayes directly from the Nefesh Elokis. If a person got sick, it wouldn't help him going to doctors. He had to fix the problem that there was in his neshama, and that would he automatically became healthy. However, now the Alter Rebbe says, since the chayes, in other words, in simple English, the physical health of a Jew is not clearly dependent on the spiritual health, even though we know that the spiritual health obviously makes a big difference, and Torah Mitzvahs brings brachos, but it's shy for a person to live physically, even if spiritually he's not healthy. So therefore now, doctors are able to help you, and you should go to doctors for sicknesses. So, that's the way the Alter Rebbe explains. Says now you have to go to doctors. You should go to doctors. Then there was no point in going to doctors because they wouldn't help you. You have to go to a spiritual doctor to find out what's spiritually wrong and correct it. That will take care of the problem. So now, getting back to Moshiach's times, Moshiach comes. Definitely, we're gonna be even greater than the Beis Hamikdash. You won't even be Moshiach to do an Aveda. But even if let's say it's explained in certain places, in the first Kufa, first period of Mashiach, might still be shaykh for some people to sin. But at least then, according to the Smaira of the Alter Rebbe, would seem to say that the physical health will be totally dependent on the spiritual health. So if a person will have a physical problem, it's going to be a direct consequence of the spiritual problem. So it's going to be the spiritual recovery is what's going to lead to the physical recovery.
Yes, one being l'chayra, the world it's going to be only toy, and one be sickness l'chayra.
According to those people that in the first kufa might be shaykh zayin in from the ram, but l'chayra won't be any worse than the zman of the Beis Hamikdash. When then the physical health is totally in the spiritual health. These are a number of biurim negayah the health from Moshiach Comes. Another biur I'll throw an interesting thing I saw that Ramami Pano, he has a whole arichas discussing the sud of the Rav Yossi and the Sheir Habor and thus, and he writes that Malach Rafo will heal all the people that are sick from their illnesses. It's a total different explanation. That it's also spiritual healing through Malach Rafo.
Not only heal them, keep them healed. In other words, it shouldn't happen.
Yeah. There's one more thing. There's an interesting thing here. I don't know if I'll have time to finish this tonight. You have like this. The Gemara says, "B'tchias hamesim," people are going to stand up with their blemish that they had in this world and they'll get healed. Why is it going to have to be that way? Because really, machlokes, by the way, according to some opinions, will be healed. They won't have them when they get up. It also depends how the tchil will take place. There's going to be food that's some news. There's going to be a whole new body. But from the standard explanation, we all know the people who get up the way they passed away, in order that everyone else should recognize them. The person will get up. You remember, he used to walk around the hunchback, limping on a foot, and all of a sudden here they see a guy, they're going to think it's someone else. So they will.
The people that will his age, in other words.
So Mela, it says the Eibush will make them get up,
sick,
the way they were, and then he'll heal them.
Was is that the Eibush is going to bring back some Cherev and Netzer and Uzradan, and they're all going to have to see and watch all these guys that will come and happen the Chumash and have to see how great I love the Eibush, how great they really are. You know.
Yeah. So how are they going to get healed? So the Zohar says. The Gemara actually says, it's the Gemara in the Zohar that Rebbe puts together. It says, also love HaKadosh Baruch Hu moitzi chamam min ha'teika. Moshiach will come, the Eibush will take the sun out of its shield, some type of covering that covers it, whatever means scientifically is a separate discussion. And it says that the power of the sun will be much greater than it's now. It says 49 times greater, 343 times, whatever. And it says the tzaddikim misrapim, but the tzaddikim will get healed from it, and the shoyim will get burnt from it. They'll suffer. That will be their punishment. They'll get burnt. So tzaddikim will get healed. So the Zohar clearly is mashma that people that are blind or limping, all that will get healed from this sun. From the sun. You have the Medrash says Moshe Chaim by Yaakov Avinu after he had the fight with the Sashal Esav. It says Vayizrach Loim that the sun, that the sun shone for him. So it says that the sun shone to heal him from his limping. So it says Ata Simon L'Bonacha, you'll be a simon to your children. That in the future the sun will shine to heal them from the
Rashi says Nisrap Kivoli Hashemesh was healed.
Right. So it says this is a simon. The same thing will be by Tchias HaMesim, that the sun will heal them. So the truth is, there's a medrash that says, which I have it unfortunately have it's sort of in here exactly. But the medrash says there are going to be 10 things that Eibishter will be mechadish in the future. First thing it says, Eibishter will take out the sun from its shield, and it will be 49 times brighter than it is now, and it will heal all people. Then it says Eibishter will make in the Nevuah of Yecheskel that there's going to be a spring of water that will come out of the Beis Hamikdash. You all know Kuntres Umayim, yeah? Kuntres and Mayim from the Rebbe Rashab is based on the pasuk of Mayim based on Hashem Yod, that a Mayim will come up from the house of Hashem. The whole Nevuah speaks about how there will be a spring coming out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim, which will spread out. First it's going to be very thin, then it will spread out further and further. And it says that whoever is sick that will drink from the waters will be healthy. Somebody says they'll bathe in the waters, but the waters will heal. There's another thing it says, the Cheskel describes in the Nevuah that on the edges of this river will be trees that will grow, and every month will give fruit. And it says, V'alehu l'trufa, the leaves of this tree will give healing. So, what it's going to exactly give healing for, there's different views. Some people say for people that can't speak. People say for women that can't have children, they'll eat either from the fruit or the leaves will be helpful for it. Or other things, people that are constipated, will help people to understand Torah. So people that can't speak in Torah, eating from it will help them. There's a few different things it says it will help. So the question here is, there's two questions that there are. First of all, this medrash seems to be talking about the second period, the supernatural period. But the question is, first of all, how are people sick in the first place? So if you're going to say that it's the people that are standing up at Chias HaMesim that will get healed at one time thing, fine, that the sun will come and heal them. From the Medrash's mashma is going to be an ongoing thing, that there's going to be water, there's going to be trees growing every month, the fruit will grow every month to heal. How are people going to get sick then? Why are people going to be sick in the first place? That's one thing. The second question is, what do you need to have three separate things? You need to have the sun, you need to have the water, you need to have the leaves. Whatever. These are technicalities, which the different Kedushim that I give him, but I still don't see any clarkite to it. What Stam, it's really without, I mean, you could have said it was talking about in the first period. In other words, the first period, there might still be sickness in the world, but there will be certain miracles, in certain midrashim. You have the concept that Rabbi explains in the first period there could be certain miracles, even though in the world itself there's still the effect of the Chet Tzaddas. But from certain places it's clear this midrash is talking about the second period, after Tchias HaMesim. It's after Tchias HaMesim. So one thing you could say that, let's say when it says that everyone that's sick is going to the water, it refers to animals and things like that. But even animals, how are they getting sick? It's a tzarech in Moshiach. He'll explain this thing. But there's another nekuda here. It's that Pichsidis explained that the union of union of choyli, the union of sickness, comes. It says choyla is the gematria memtes. That is the word choyla. Somebody that's sick is the gematria 49. What does it mean? It means that if a person has all 49, it says there were 50 gates of understanding created in the world. And everyone, they're all given to Moshe besides one. So Shad Hanun, we heard of the Shad Hanun, the 50th gate. It says the 50th gate, Moshe had been got it before, right before Passover. The 50th gate will be revealed when Moshiach will come. So it says, Nabizman Argolos, if everything physically has a source spiritually. Spiritually, the source of sickness is from the fact that a person is missing the Gili Shara Non. In other words, let's say spiritually, what is the highest form of sickness? The highest form of sickness is that somebody has all 49 gates, but he's yearning for the Shara Non. The Rebbe said that the Maimer Basi Vata Tetzav brings us down. Chayla Sava, that in this man Golos, even if he has everything, but he doesn't have Gili Atzmus, he's sick. He's in Gansen Sifreis, he's suddenly crushed. So Chayla Sava, is that there's a passage that says, I'm sick of love. He loves Hashem. So, and he gets sick because he doesn't have it. And Mashiach will come, and then all the Eden will be the Gili of the Eibishter himself. So, since spiritually in its source there won't be any room for sickness because there will be the Gili of Sha'aranun, so too physically there won't be any source of sickness. There's also another Nekuda Chassidus says, interesting thing, it says that the fact that certain people are born with certain imunim, it says because they're born they're born when the month is not complete. Now it doesn't mean that if a person is physically born in the second half of the month. As explained that it's a spiritual ibur when the neshama is born spiritually. So I got to be a Chassidus. The Rebbe actually mentioned this by the Tafshim Ahmed Vav. The Rebbe greeted a group of Israeli soldiers We call them Tzionei Tzahal. Yeah.
Yeah, Matzion, the Rebbe said.
So the Rebbe said a thing. The Rebbe spoke to the next Shalom Shabbos. I think the Rebbe around that kufa. The Rebbe spoke. He brought down this. So it's a mimer that's in Derech Mishesach speaks about it, and a few other places that those that are says when Moshiach will come. Says what is those people that are Bali Moon is because they were born then, but the Moshiach will come and then the Levana, the moon will be again complete like the way it was before the Chet Tzedakah. Says those that Bisman HaGolus suffered because of their movement, their blemishes, so then they'll have even a more greater simcha than those when Mashiach will come than those that didn't. Some another in the Pichsidis with this come where we gave Mashiach healing the blemishes. An interesting sikha that Rebbe spoke was Chanukah Tafshin and Beis when the Tiferes that came the elderly, the Rebbe used to have one night, there was a rally for children, and then there was also first Canaan, Galitsky used to bring this Canaan to the Rebbe. So the Rebbe said, when Mashiach will come, you won't need to wear reading glasses. The Rebbe was saying then, a person will be completely healthy, reading glasses is not considered necessarily such a disease or a blemish, but you see from the Rebbe that he learned when Mashiach will come, everything will be you won't need, elderly people. They won't need you won't even need to have glasses, or because it's mitzad the complete.